Okay, welcome to the Counseling Solutions Group. Thank you for joining us for a short video training session. We are about people who are seeking solutions, and you can learn more about us at competentcounseling.com. That's www.competentcounseling.com. Today's seminar is going to be about relationship building in the context of the local church, how to build relationally in the context of the local church. And the big idea that I want to communicate to you, and it's actually my prayer that many people would be able to grasp the point of this short video session and be able to apply it specifically to their lives. And here it is. If you are rightly connected to the local church, you rarely would ever need counseling. If you are rightly connected to the local church, you rarely would ever need counseling. In my counseling career, there have been only a few situations where the individual that I am counseling really needs counseling or would need counseling if they were rightly connected, building relationally in the context of their local church. Most of the people that come to me generally are not connected in the way that they should be to their local church. There are rare exceptions. There are some catastrophic, significant events that happen, like death, for example. Divorce is a big one. Adultery is another that happen where counseling is needful. But for the most part, I'm not minimalizing. I do not desire to minimize those who do come for counseling, and they are plugging into their local church and receiving the redemptive value of their local church. But in most cases, that is not true. And that's what I want to talk about today. And the key elements, the primary things that I think is essential for us to understand before we launch into the larger part of the video, are the things that are necessary for any individual prior to, if they want to connect to their local church. And the most obvious one is they're being motivated by the gospel motivation. Paul said that he had desired to know nothing but Jesus Christ and Him crucified in 1 Corinthians 2:2. And so everything that we do must be motivated by this understanding of what Christ did on the cross and through the resurrection for our salvation and our sanctification, being motivated by the gospel. If we are rightly motivated by the gospel, if we understand the gospel correctly, then there are going to be certain key elements that that will come to us. They are contiguous with the right understanding of the gospel. And the first one is humility. The gospel is stunning. To realize what Jesus did on the tree for my sin is a humbling effect. The Father executed His Son for my sin. That is a very humbling thought. And the more I understand the gospel, the more humble I should be. Integrity, this is moral uprightness. This is honesty. This is just a willingness to do right. I want to do right. And as we look at our local church, there should be a desire to want to do right if we're understanding the gospel correctly. And then transparency, which is absolutely essential. You can't build relationally with another human being if you're unwilling to be transparent. And the tendency within me, I know, is to do what Adam did in the early pages of Genesis, and that's to put on fig leaves, to cover myself up because of my shame, because of my fear, my unbelief, that I want to cover myself. But you can't do that if you're seeking to build relationally. And then the last key element is intentionality. If you're not intentional, if you're sitting and waiting for someone to engage you, you're probably going to be disappointed. If you come to your local church meeting and no one talks to you, then my question to you is, were you intentional? Are you walking in humility? Are you really being a person of integrity, guided by moral principles and walking in transparency? These are essential key elements if we're going to build in our local church. Now, context matters. There are a number of contexts that our local churches provide us, and they're absolutely essential that we understand what they are and also that we engage one another in those contexts. The first one is the corporate meeting. This is the Sunday meeting where we come together to worship God through music, worship God through the preaching of the Word, to engage one another. Some folks have Sunday school, which has been very helpful for people. Sunday school is another context where we can build relationally. Also, small group meetings during the week as a subset of the larger meeting where folks come together for biblical fellowship, unpacking the Sunday sermon or working through a book or whatever. Men's and ladies' meetings. These are gender specific. It's another kind of context where men and women can build relationally with one another. And then hospitality, family-owned family, where two families come together to enjoy one another for a brief period of time. It is a context to where we can build relationally. Hospitality also works out as couple on couple, where two couples come together to speak into one another's lives, to mutually encourage one another, exhort one another, to help one another. And then we have man-to-man. This is Paul coming along beside Timothy to serve him, encourage him, exhort him. And then the Titus 2 context of the older women in the church coming alongside the ladies, younger women of the church, to teach them to love God and to love their husbands, lady to lady. And then we have husband to wife. This is an obvious context in the local church where the husband's leading his wife, praying with his wife, having devotions with his wife, modeling the gospel before his wife, and generally loving her the way Christ loved the church, nourishing, cherishing, honoring her, 1 Peter 3:7, living with her in an understanding way. And then the last context is the children of God talking and engaging their Heavenly Father. As a child of God, this is the best part. This is the favorite part. This is when we talk to our Father about all the things that are going on in our lives, as well as our opportunity to ask questions and to enjoy Him and just generally worship Him. If you are rightly connected to the local church, and here are some of the ways that you can connect to the local church. Rarely have I seen an individual who is engaging with humility, integrity, transparency, and intentionality in these contexts to where they need counseling. Now, what I want to do is take all of these contexts and put them in another format for you. And on your screen here, you have two arrows, and they go from broad to tight or broad to narrow. Because these contexts are different. And the first one and the most broad context is the corporate meeting. This is the one that's not specifically designed for ongoing biblical fellowship, and it's a little more difficult to build relationally, particularly if you work at the corporate meeting as far as putting it on or have some role to play. It's frenetic and your time is limited, so this one is more difficult to build relationally. But as you work down to the bottom of the screen, you'll notice that these arrows are getting tighter and tighter. Sunday school, small group, men's and ladies' meetings, and then family to family. Once you get down to family, the biblical fellowship and the mutual encouragement and building relationally can happen at a significant level. Couple to couple is another amazing opportunity that two couples can have to build relationally into one another's lives. And then person to person, whether it's man to man or lady to lady, coming together over coffee or just spending some time together talking to one another, as you would know that the conversation that you have at this level with less distraction and a less frenetic pace is more intense and far better than as far as relationship building than what you can have in the corporate meeting. And then, of course, husband to wife is just an unbelievable opportunity that we have to serve one another for the glory of God. And then in the closet, the child to the father, engaging our Heavenly Father. Rarely have I seen a person who is disconnected in his local church or her local church have a need for counseling. How to build relationally in the context of the local church. Let me appeal to you to take advantage of these opportunities, to use them for the glory of God. Be very intentional, humble, transparent, and men and women of integrity. Building relationally, thank you for the opportunity to be able to serve you. Please check us out at competentcounseling.com And if I can serve you, that would be my joy. Thank you so much for attending, and God bless.